You ever catch yourself saying, I just need to think about it more? I just need to be a little bit more prepared. I need to do a little bit more planning, and then I'll feel confident. I'll feel ready to take action. But deep down, you know you have been thinking about making these changes and working on these goals for weeks, for months, maybe even thinking about it for years. Whether it's starting a fitness program, committing to eating better and having healthier habits around food. Maybe it's committing to going to bed at the same time and working on your night routine, or finally believing that you can change. Most people that I come across do not fail because they don't know what to do. They fail because they overthink themselves out of doing anything and taking any sort of action. The problem is that thinking can feel super productive. It feels really logical. It feels like we're just being thorough and we're really planning ahead. It can feel really smart, but really it might just be your fear wearing a disguise. Now, don't get me wrong. We absolutely need to think about things. We need to count the costs. We need to make some logical decisions based on the resources that we have. And I'm not saying that we should completely throw all of our thinking out and only rely on our emotions, but I want you to take a quick assessment and really just check in. Is there something in your health, in your fitness, in your life that you know you need to make a change on? And you've just been thinking about it. You've been doing some research. You've been maybe listening to the podcast. Maybe you've even attended some of my web classes or workshops, or have even gotten on a call, and you're still stuck in indecision, uncertainty, thinking about what you need to do in order to feel ready. So we're going to kind of dive into this a little bit, because the real enemy is the overthinking. It is not wisdom, it's avoidance, it's procrastination. Here is the truth that the top 1% understand that most people don't. It is our brain's way of trying to protect us from failure, from embarrassment, from discomfort. Basically, anything that might make us feel exposed or vulnerable, our brain wants to avoid that. You see, our brain is always looking to seek pleasure, make it as easy as possible, and avoid pain. But we can see the problem with the brain's sort of default mechanism there, because most things in life that avoid pain, seek pleasure or comfort, and are as easy as possible are the things with that short-term gratification. It's those things that feel good in the moment, but either we end up feeling guilty over, we feel bad, or we just know deep down inside that making those decisions consistently is not going to lead us down the road that we want to go. But what's wild is that the longer you sit in thinking mode or thinking about it, usually the more anxious, the more doubtful, the more fearful, and the more paralyzed you become. This is partially because when you are thinking about starting, let's say, a fitness program or joining the Fit and Fueled program that we're launching, you are thinking about it through the lens that has created all of the results that you have so far. So your brain is using its past experiences and its current beliefs to help you make a decision that is going to require a new level of thinking. The people that are out there winning or crushing it with their fitness goals, with their health goals, whether it's in their business, their life, or any other area, they're not smarter than you. They've just learned how to take action before they actually feel ready. They've learned to take action without having all of the certainty and having all of the pieces in place. Oftentimes, really, that confidence comes from taking action. It comes from taking messy, imperfect action over and over again. And it's by doing that that we actually start to build some confidence, because we're building competency as well. I'm Alisha Carlson, and I help women, especially busy, high-achieving women, get out of their heads and into action so that they can build strength, energy, and confidence from the inside out in every single area. Because here's the deal. Confidence doesn't come from a number on the scale. It doesn't come from having a perfect plan or doing the plan perfectly. It comes from keeping promises to yourself and showing up for yourself, even when you don't feel ready, even when you messed up, even when you didn't do it perfectly. That is really what the top people do, or the women that you see and that you might admire, because they're super consistent. They maybe have some of the goals that you are working to achieve. It's really, that's the biggest difference, is that they got out of their head. They stopped overthinking. They stopped waiting until life felt perfect or they felt completely ready. And they just made this a decision and a commitment to themselves to show up and to keep showing up, even when it was messy, even when it was imperfect. So today we're going to break down how to think and act in that same way so that you can finally get out of your head and start creating the results that you want. So let's talk about the mindset shifts that really separate top performers from everybody else. Here are 7 ways that they are thinking differently and how you can start applying them today. 1, they act fast and refine later. Now, they are not waiting for the perfect plan. They make decisions quickly, take the first step, and they make adjustments as they go. You do not need perfect clarity. You do not need a perfect plan. You just need some forward motion. It's taking one step, taking the next step, and just keep taking those small steps, adjusting as you go. Now, again, one thing to really think about here is that when you are acting fast, that does not mean that we are just acting based on our emotions. Yes, our emotions can be a great indicator of maybe some things to kind of think about or to consider if you're feeling anxious or if you're feeling uncertain or doubtful or fearful. Just check in with that. But what happens when you kind of have some filter in place ahead of time? You're really able to be super clear in the decisions that you're making. Now, again, it's important to note that most of us are making decisions based on past results or past experiences. The problem with that is that if we continue to make decisions from the past, we're going to continue to create those same types of results. So if you're wanting different results, you need to have a different level of thinking. Mindset shift number 2, use action to build confidence. You do not get confidence by waiting. You do not get confidence by having the perfect plan. You earn that confidence through reps. Now, yes, we could be talking about tangible, actual reps in a workout, but really the rep is just doing it and doing it and doing it and refining, building your skill set, your competency as you practice and as you continue to show up. The more you show up, the more confident you become. Confidence is really built under the bar. It's really built by actually doing the thing, not necessarily just in your brain, or it's not necessarily in having the perfect plan or, kind of accounting for all of the things that could go wrong. Treat mistakes like feedback, not failure. So every rep, every attempt, every try teaches you something. Every misstep is data. It does not have to be a disaster. It does not define you as a failure. The only real failure is quitting before you learn, right? So continue to put yourself out there, continue to try. Even if you fail, it's only a failure if you actually give up, right? It's okay, absolutely, even to pivot. I wouldn't say that that is giving up. If you start out and you have one specific goal, and as you're working on that goal, something starts to feel maybe not aligned, or you're just feeling like that's not a goal that you're being led to pursue anymore, it is not a failure to pivot and to kind of take a step back and maybe redirect yourself. That's not what I'm talking about when I say give up. Giving up is just throwing in the towel. It's not trying anymore. And it's just maybe, saying, hey, it's all good. We tried, we gave it an honest attempt, and so be it, right? Maybe this is just where I'm supposed to be. So it's not that. It is really just continuing to put yourself out there, failing forward and learning, remembering that your mistakes, your fails are not failure. They are just feedback, ways for you to learn, for you to adapt, and for you to keep going. Focus on process, not perfection. The people typically that you see that have created long-term lasting results in their health, in their fitness, in their weight loss, it is because somewhere along the line, they stopped focusing on the result and the outcome, and they started focusing on the process. They started focusing on the input and the steps that they can take right then and there. They know that progress is something that compounds when you focus on what you can control. This is your habits. This is your effort. This is the thoughts that you're thinking. This is the way that you're showing up. So when you focus more on that and less on the outcome, less on the results, that is really going to be a huge mindset shift that allows you to pick yourself up and to keep going, especially on the days that you want to give up, that you feel like you just keep hitting the wall and you're failing. So focus on that process, not perfection, and not the results or the outcome. This one could be a little bit controversial potentially, and even a little bit uncomfortable, because I think sometimes we can really slip into applying pressure to ourselves in a way that does create this unhealthy outcome. It can definitely feel like a huge threat. But what if you kind of shifted that a little bit and you used pressure as fuel and not seeing it as a threat? So if you are feeling like you're on the edge of discomfort, that's good. That means that you're growing. That means that you're kind of pushing the boundaries of what feels safe, because usually what feels safe for us only feels safe because it's familiar and it's comfortable, not necessarily because that is where we are meant to be. So when you're feeling uncomfortable, when you're feeling a little bit of that doubt or that fear, instead of seeing that as a threat and a sign that you should actually back off and stop, I want you to lean into that and really ask, what is this resistance? What are these emotions or these feelings trying to teach me? If you're not feeling safe, if you're not feeling comfortable, that's good. That actually means that you are likely taking steps toward becoming more of the woman that you need to be in order to reach the goals that you have for yourself. This means that you are stepping out of the bounds of your comfort zone and you're really entering into that growth zone. Remember back a few episodes, we really talked about that identity level, and there needs to be that deep shift on that identity level if you are wanting those results and those outcomes to be long-term and lasting. And believe me, as you are working on shifting your identity and really shifting what you believe about yourself, it's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to experience some of that cognitive dissonance because you're challenging the beliefs that you have about yourself, about what's possible for you, about what you can do and what you can achieve. And that's going to be really challenging, really uncomfortable before it becomes the new norm. You've got to also learn to accept uncertainty as part of the deal, right? So a lot of times when we are procrastinating by thinking about doing something or thinking about taking action, we are wanting to feel better about making the decision. The reality is, though, if we go back to that last mindset shift, if you are feeling like super comfortable with the decision that you're making, there's a good chance you're only feeling comfortable because that's the same kind of decision-making process that has led you to where you are right now with the results that you don't want. So you've got to learn to be okay with a little uncertainty, be okay with a little fear, a little anxiety, a little bit of doubt, and not using that as a reason to back down. Waiting until you know everything, waiting until you feel totally confident and totally comfortable is a losing strategy, because you're always going to be waiting. There's always going to be more information that you could have. There's always going to be a little bit more certainty that you want, or a few more details or something like that. But really, it's being able to take action even when you are not 100% sure how that's going to work out. That is really where those breakthroughs happen. Last mindset shift to talk about is understanding that clarity comes from movement. It doesn't necessarily just come from thinking. Now, of course, if you are getting coached and you're really working on your mindset, then your thinking might already be sort of shifting. Those belief patterns, the way that you're processing things could definitely be changing. But if you have not yet started any of that mindset work, then you've got to understand that the way that your brain processes information, the way that your brain is making decisions is based on all of your past experiences, all of the past stories that you've been told, that you've seen other people tell themselves, and that you've been telling yourself, that has created the results that you have right now. So until we change that mindset, until we change at that identity level, we can't just think our way out of the problem. So yes, it is some thinking, maybe some new ways of thinking and making decisions, but it's also just from taking some messy action, just getting moving, taking those small steps, even when you don't know if it's going to work or you don't know how it's going to work. You are never going to completely think your way into the body, the business, or the life that you want. You're only going to get there by actually taking action and putting some of those thoughts, putting some of those plans to work. So imagine this. You stop second guessing every choice and you start trusting yourself again. You're lifting consistently, you're fueling your body without obsession, and making choices that align with your future self and not just trying to avoid making the same mistakes from your past. You're not letting fear rule you. That really is kind of that 1% mindset. And the best part is it's not just for other people. You can start living it today, especially by implementing some of those mindset shifts that we talked about. Because the cost of inaction, of staying stuck in someday or starting when you feel more ready or when life feels less crazy, is way higher than the cost of making a few mistakes and taking the steps that you can take today. When you move, when you take action, you learn. When you learn, you grow. And when you grow, that is when things really start to change and start to shift. So here's the next step. I want you to pick one area of your life where you've really been overthinking, where you've been stuck in indecision and you've been procrastinating. Maybe that's getting started with a workout routine. Maybe that's making the one shift in your nutrition or breaking down your next big goal and figuring out what that next step is. I want you to just take one imperfect action toward that area today. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for perfect. Don't wait until all of the plans seem super clear and you know exactly how to do it. Just decide, move, and refine as you go. Because as one of my instructors said, and this really still sits so perfect with me because I was a perfectionist. I was always stuck in wanting to do it right and wanting to do it perfectly. But she told me that perfect is the enemy of done. So if you are waiting to get something done, but you're waiting also for it to be perfect, those two are not going to exist at the same time. Because it's taking that small, imperfect, messy action. That is how you stop overthinking and you start leading yourself and your family like the woman you were created and called to be. And if you want support learning how to train your brain and your body like that top 1%, then I want you to check out the Strong Her Way Fit and Fueled. It is our brand new group coaching program that not only focuses on the fitness and the nutrition aspect and really just simplifying that, because like I said, I don't think it's that you don't know what to do. It's there's so much information out there. And then it's actually taking the information that you need and then applying it and implementing it over and over. So yes, you get the workouts. Yes, you get the nutrition, but really more than anything, this program is about mastering the mindset and really shifting that identity that helps you stay consistent for the long term. You can learn more by going to thestrongherway.com/fit-and-fueled, following that link down in the show notes. Thank you again for hanging out with me this week. I hope that this episode blesses you, encourages you, and challenges you to start thinking outside of your current comfort zone. Please consider leaving us a review and sharing this with any other women you know in your circle that would benefit from this episode or some of our past episodes. Until next week, bye. Do you ever finish a meal and immediately feel guilty or promise yourself you'll start fresh tomorrow? I get it. You've tried the cycle of restriction, overdoing it, and starting over every other Monday, and you're tired of it. You don't need another program that makes life harder. You need Fit and Fueled, a coaching system that teaches sustainable habits, strength training, and nutrition that works in the real world for your real life. Imagine finally enjoying food without shame, feeling consistent, and seeing results that last. Stop punishing yourself and start thriving. Check out thestrongherway.com/fit-and-fueled to join today.